Jake, what are you seeing over there with the other running back out there in Columbus?
Yeah, I mean, Quinshon Judkins pretty comfortably established himself as a top 4 running back in this class. I have zero concerns about saying that. We saw what he did as a true freshman in the SEC. We saw him dominate the SEC yet again as a sophomore. He comes on over, joins Ohio State, comes into a room with an already extremely talented running back room, obviously with Travion Henderson there. When you're having to compete with the number 2 running back, he's been my running back too the entire process. Nothing has changed when it comes to Henderson for me. Judkins, I had some concerns about, but what he showed in the playoffs, especially against, my Notre Dame Fighting Irish just last night, he showed what makes him so special. He can, again, much like Henderson, perform in every facet of the game. There's really nothing he can't do. He's efficient as a receiver, efficient as a runner. He had a better season this year, efficiency-wise, than he did last year at Ole Miss. So Judkins his performance in the playoffs especially just comfortably established his spot for me. I have zero concerns having him as a top 4 guy in this group.
It's interesting because I had him right there at number 4 coming into the college football playoffs, and I'm actually dropping him a little bit in my rankings. He's actually one of my biggest losers, and I hear what you're saying, and I was one of the people who did have Henderson above Judkins, but they're close to me. I just didn't see him do much other than I felt like he scored a bunch of touchdowns in this postseason. In fact, I think what really hurt him, Jake, in my rankings was that 70-plus yard run he had last night. Actually kind of hurt him because he had clear separation to take it to the house, and his top line speed was not there at all. So I'm worried that if he doesn't run fast at the combine, he could potentially have a slow time. I still think he's probably locked and loaded as a day 2 pick just because of the overall pedigree we've seen from him, but still like a 3-star recruit. He did push Zach Evans out of Ole Miss down there, which I think was really his claim to fame. Had about 1,500 yards rushing as a true freshman. So he was brilliant, but with other guys that I'm really starting to like kind of move up my board, Omarion Hampton, Caleb Johnson out of Iowa, even without the Penn State backs, I think I have Judkins 5 or 6, which isn't like he's not off my board or anything like that, Jake, but I am a little bit lower on him. Steve, kind of where do you fit in on this mix? And I know you like Judkins a little bit better than Henderson coming into the postseason. Have things kind of flipped for you?
They have. They've flipped pretty hard, actually. One thing I will always stand on is that at the running back position, you have to be fast. And Quinshon Judkins is not. Now, I'm not saying he's not fast to the average person. Of course he is. But the NFL linebackers now run like safeties and defensive backs. And he got chased down last night on a play where he really did have 10 yards of separation between him and that guy. That was a real head start, and he got caught pretty easy. That is really concerning. Now, there's 2 ways he can go in the NFL because there's 2 slow running backs that come to mind when I watch him. One is my former Florida State alumni, Devonta Freeman.
Yeah.
Back, but productive. On the other hand, he could be Clyde Edwards-Helaire, surrounded by a ton of talent, so able to get those big holes in the NFL and can't get past the second level. And if you can't get past the second level, you're just not going to be very useful at the NFL level, a la Zach Evans, right? Like, that's what's going on. That's what's derailed his career. He's not fast enough. He's not able. And you see when guys lose that step, Zeke Elliott, perfect example. All it takes is losing a little bit of speed. A tiny bit of speed at the NFL level creates such a massive chasm of difference and ability. So I don't have Quinshon Judkins even in my top 5 anymore.
Jake, any final thoughts for you on Judkins? Because we did see Henderson have the explosive plays prior to the championship game. Judkins really did provide an explosive spark for the Buckeyes in the championship game. But in that Texas game, I don't know if Ohio State wins without that screen pass 70-yarder taken to the house with under 2 minutes to play in the first half. So Henderson just offers a little bit more, from a fantasy perspective. Do you think it's maybe one of those situations that Judkins just wasn't asked to do a lot of pass catching? He did catch a pass in the end zone yesterday. We saw Will Howard kind of scrambling around and then find him just kind of in the middle of the field there lurking.
Yeah, I think it boils down with it's in Judkins' skill set. It's just not something he was asked heavily to do in that offense. And I'm far less worried about the top end speed argument. He's got a 4.49 40 already timed from college combines and stuff that he's done from that. On film, he reached a top speed of 22.5 miles an hour this year. I'm just not concerned about the speed out of a back who's probably going to weigh in. He's probably going to be right around 6 foot and probably weigh in close to 225, 230 pounds.
But colleges cook those 40 times too. Like they lie all the time about those 40 times. So that 4.49 with his college reporting it, that's like a 4.55, 4.
Is this an Aldrich Estime situation, Jake? Could this be a 4.7?
It's no, absolutely not. You don't reach 22.5 miles an hour through GPS data running that slow. Like you can't produce that top end speed with that 40 time. It's just impossible. And we've seen him do it this year. We've seen him break. There was an 84-yard touchdown run, very similar to the one we saw, just last night, where he pulled away with zero issues whatsoever. So maybe he's nursing some bit of an injury. That will let me pull it. I think it was Kentucky.
I mean, come on.
It's still an SEC team. It's a team that has more
matter.
4 and 5 star.
Like, oh, it's an SEC team.
That team doesn't. That team has more 4 and 5 star prospects than Notre Dame had.
I think bottom line, I think Quinshon Judkins is going to be the most polarizing prospect in this draft. I think we will see rookie drafts depending on the landing spot and the draft capital where he's going.
Fantasy wise, you mean?
Yeah. I think he could be going, mid to late first round in rookie drafts, but I could see some rookie drafts where he'll slide because people are a little concerned about the top end speed. But I think Indianapolis is going to tell us a lot. I don't know.
Screams New England Patriot to me, and that's just that's where I'm at. Like, you know what I mean?
Like he screams Dallas to me. He screams Dallas.
Oh, okay.
No,
well,
Dallas is going to take like Ollie Gordon or something like that. They need a guy who can pop the top off the defense.